So I want to greet everyone who is here. I'm very grateful for you being here. I'm very grateful for being offered the floor. And I too want to start with the current events. Yesterday, a vicious far-left, hate-filled political murder took place in America. And a conservative truth speaker, father of two little children, Charlie Kirk, was murdered. He was murdered for standing up against the official lie, for not going along, for exposing the agenda of the globalists. He was unafraid and very spirited in his mission to stop the evil madness that is destroying our families, our nations, and our Western civilization. The news, it resonates with me. I bumped into him in Budapest at this year's CPAC Hungary. And what we are doing here today is very similar to what he was doing. The very prescient old saying by Edmund Burke that all that is necessary for the triumph of evil is that good men do nothing is exactly what drives us all here. And we know that speaking the truth is the most powerful weapon against the triumph of evil. And the hideous murder of Charlie Kirk reminds us that there is a real risk, a heavy personal price to pay for not staying silent. The evil that inspires the so-called liberal globalists is real and it is merciless. So I want to express a very sincere and personal gratitude and appreciation for everyone who has come here, who has chosen to be on the side of right, on the side of truth, on the side of good. Now, I am a politician, not a scientist and not a doctor, so I will speak about the political aspect of the things. I will try to frame the subject from my point of view. Over the past few years, the processes that were vaguely perceptible for decades have taken very concrete shape. What seemed boisterous UN-peddled fantasies or ridiculous far-left academic drivel have been actually enforced with speed and ruthlessness that even the most paranoid of us, like myself, would not have realized, would not have believed. It turns out that the more loudly and aggressively something was declared to be a conspiracy theory, the more accurate it was. No theories here, just practice. And we are still not allowed to mention it, lest we risk being fired. If not from a rifle, then from our jobs. What happened during COVID years was a turbo process to subjugate the nation states of the West under undemocratic, unelected international globalists. And to achieve that, it was necessary to usurp the sovereignty of the states. And because most countries in the West happen to be old, settled democracies where people assume they have a say on things, it was also necessary to usurp the sovereignty of individuals, the citizens. Now, it is interesting, by the way, that the societies that still have a living memory of totalitarianism, that is, the countries in Europe that used to be on the wrong side, on the eastern side of the Iron Curtain, have a better understanding of where we are and where we are headed, compared to the people on the western side. I can still remember the naive Westerners in the 90s when we spoke to them about the horrid, violent repressions by the Soviet regime against the people. The naive people asking us with a sincere face, well, why did you not call the police? Well, because the police were part of the regime. It would have been as useless as calling a Brit copper about a child rape by a Muslim gang. So COVID years was the coming out from the closet for those who had for years yearned for a decisive power grab. And again, in order to do it, the most important thing was to silence dissent. We learned that the promise of the yesteryear of uncontrolled, unlimited change of information because of the internet turned out to be a complete inversion. The internet, the social media platforms, became actually the most efficient tools for silencing people. Worse even, it became a tool for finding out who was harboring heretical thoughts and then setting the legions of trolls on them to ruin these people. The official lie was established about the wet market in China and the poor maligned pangolin, and anyone who doubted it was a tin-foiled hat loony. The official lie was established about the necessity of masks, the necessity of lockdowns, necessity of jabbing, the effectiveness and safeness of the so-called vaccines. You could not question it, and you could not diverge from it. It was all done because it was needed for the power grab. It was done to undermine the sovereignty of the nation state and its own processes and procedures. It was necessary to deprive the citizen of his sovereignty. Freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of choice, bodily sovereignty was all trampled on. We now know too much and too well for the globalists to maintain their official lie. Indeed, some of the bravest people knew from the beginning and tried to shout it to the rest of the world. But the official lie is still being tried to maintain. The gaslighting, the threats, the insults are ever more vile now that they feel that it is all slipping away from them. We have to win this. If we don't, the Western civilization will be destroyed in our lifetime. Our home countries will be destroyed. All of our freedoms, as well as our wealth, health, and property will be destroyed. This is our last chance to turn things around. This is why I admire Trump and his cabinet so much. They know what the stakes are, and they are doing an amazing job against all odds. I salute them, truly I do. So, let's not ever get tired of telling the truth and standing up against the evil. Let's fight for our freedoms, for our countries, for our way of life. And you see, we are winning. Despite the depressing news of the day, we are winning. You can smell it in the air. We are winning. Thank you all for that.